Hi, this is Arna from the Tars team. Over the last couple of months, we have been speaking to LOs and mortgage brokers about what they view as the biggest bottleneck in the sales and marketing process. And by far, the most common response that we've gotten is that it takes too long to bring home buyers from awareness, so where they've just found out about your company and landed on your page, to closure, where they've been approved for the loan. Now, a lot of that time is not in your control. Once you've handed off the application to a lender, it's up to them to assess it and then approve or reject it. But there is a lot of scope for you to save time before that handoff takes place and improve the efficiency of your marketing campaigns. And it involves chatbots. So right now, what you are doing is you have all of these marketing channels that are bringing leads in through the door. You have referral networks, you have Google ads and Facebook ads that you're running, and people are coming in through the door. But once they land on your page, there's always this question of what information you should show them, and most importantly, what information you need to collect from them to turn them into a lead. Now, in an ideal world, what would happen is you would show them the entire 1003 form, they'd fill it out, submit the required documents, and you'd immediately send it over to the lender for an assessment. But I don't need to tell you this, the 1003 form isn't the most user friendly experience available on the internet. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's boring, it's unengaging, and from the home buyer's perspective, it's intimidating. You're asking for a lot of personal details through these 1003 forms. You're asking for contact details, you're asking for marital status, you're asking for income, which is always a sensitive topic to discuss. So showing a 1003 form in that first interaction is really not an option. Now, to get around this issue, what a lot of LOs do is they create landing pages with forms on them where they don't ask for all of the 1003 information in one go, they just ask for some of it. This Quicken Loans landing page, for example, is just asking for a few key details to convert me into a lead. Now, once a prospect gets through this landing page and fills out all of these forms, they enter your funnel. And from there, it's your job to take those prospects from that partial 1003 form that they filled out to a complete 1003 form that you can hand off to the lender. And it's in that process of taking people through all the remaining details that they need to submit that you are losing time, because the average home buyer is not a mortgage expert. So they are going to take their time filling out these forms. And along the way, they are going to give you, they're going to send you emails. They're going to start these long email threads asking you questions. They're going to call you on the phone and ask you questions. They're even going to come into your office and to have their doubts clarified. And in some cases, they're even going to make mistakes that you need to guide them through and correct. And it's in that process of interacting with prospects and addressing these common queries that they have, assuaging their fears, clearing up any doubts that they have, that you're losing time in your marketing process. And chatbots can actually help you save time over there. So what we're proposing is that instead of showing prospects a lead capture form when they land on your page like this, what you should do is show them a chatbot conversation like this one. So now, instead of filling out a form to generate a lead, they're actually having this back and forth conversation with someone, or rather something, because these chatbots are completely automated from your team to generate that exact same lead. And we found that this approach to lead generation using an interactive conversation has a number of benefits over the traditional form-based approach. First of all, the interface itself is a lot more inviting to use. Rather than being confronted by a wall of fields that you have to fill out, you are having an interactive back and forth conversation to generate a lead. So you send a message, the bot responds with a message, and then you send your next message. And that back and forth interaction is a lot more engaging than filling out a form. Second, these conversations usually involve, they usually use language that's a lot more accessible to the average home buyer. They are not going to be reading these one word they're not going to be reading these one word form fields that are often cryptic, and sometimes even especially in the case of the regular 1003, a little bit technical form fields. They are going to be reading very human messages that you can even include emojis in, to make them feel more accessible. And that makes the process feel just a little bit more manageable. Best of all, these chatbots make the prospect feel like there's someone actually taking out the time to speak with them and guide them through the process. And I really can't overstate how important that is. One of the biggest issues with filling out forms like these is that the prospect has to do it all on their own, and that's what makes it scary for them, because they're afraid of making a mistake. They have all of these doubts swimming through their heads that's preventing them from filling it all out in one go. And that's why they're calling you, and that's why they're emailing you with all of those doubts that they have. When you use a chatbot, when you frame the lead generation experience as a conversation, they feel like there is an expert sitting on the other end guiding them through the process. So they're not as scared to share information with you. And the end result is that they are willing to share more information with you in that first interaction once they land on your page. And that makes your job easier after their lead has been captured, because once they enter your funnel, you have to collect a lot less information from them in those follow-ups to take them from awareness. So once they've landed on your page, to that complete 1003 form. And that is what saves you time. Because your job is a lot easier, because you're collecting a lot less information, it takes you a lot less time to move prospects along in the process. Now, if you're interested in learning more about this and how you can actually make the jump from the traditional form based approach to the more interactive, engaging, and most importantly, human chatbot based approach, check out the full guide that we created explaining how we go about transforming traditional landing pages like this one into engaging chatbot experiences like this one. We'll leave a link to it at the end of this video. In the guide, we go into a lot of detail. We explain everything from the sorts of messages that you should send, to the order in which you should send those messages, and even the color you should make the message bubbles. So again, if you're interested in learning more about why and how you should make the switch from forms to chatbots in your mortgage marketing campaigns, check out the full guide that we created. There's a link to it at the end of this video.